Hello everyone, welcome to this video series on Java Lab. So let's continue where we have left in the previous video. So now let's look at control statements. So any programming language will have these constructs called control statements, where you can mm, select a block of statements based on a condition, or you can basically loop or repeat a set of statements using iteration statements, or within the loops, or sometimes in the selection statements you can jump from one location to another location by using jump statements. Okay, so in Java, if you consider selection statements which will enable the programmer to select a block of statements, we have if else statement as well as switch. Okay, we have a version of if called else if ladder, right, and switch. Okay, so if you come to iteration statements or looping statements in Java, we have while, do while, for loop, and for each loop. Okay, so who are coming from C and C++, they know only while, do while, and for, but in Java you have an additional loop called for each loop. Okay, we will see in the example how to use this, right? And as I told you earlier, we can jump from one location to another location by using jump statements, where we have different options here. You can use break, continue, and return. Okay, so return is generally used inside functions, right? Okay, now let's see the syntax for if statement. So there is a keyword in Java called if, followed by a condition or expression within the parenthesis, and followed by a set of statements which are enclosed in braces. Okay, so the syntax is very simple. Okay, so whenever this condition or expression evaluates to true, these statements are executed. Otherwise, the control comes from here to the next statement after if here. Okay, now a two-way selection statement called if else. Okay, so previously there was no else block, but here we have another block called else. So the syntax for if is same, followed immediately by another keyword else, and again as if we have a set of statements for else block also. Okay, so if this condition is true, these statements are executed, or otherwise these statements are executed. Okay, and a multi-selection statement called else if ladder. So if you have multiple blocks of statements which you need to execute when a condition is true, okay, whenever the corresponding condition is true, you will use else if ladder, or you can use switch also. You will see switch in the next coming slide. Okay, so the first comes the if block, immediately followed by else if. So you have the keyword else with a space followed by if. Okay, so remaining syntax is same as if, right? And like that you can have a number of else if blocks. Okay, so here dot dot means you can have these kind of blocks, any you can repeat these things any number of times. And at the end, if all these conditions fail, so you can have this else block. Okay, where you will have a set of statements. So this is a multi-way selection statement else if. Similar to else if, there is one more thing called switch. So this is also another example for multi-way selection statement. Okay, so here the switch statement begins with the keyword switch, followed by the expression within the parenthesis, and the body of switch which is enclosed in braces. Okay, so inside the body of switch we have different blocks of statements which are uh, which begin with a case keyword. So case is a keyword in Java, as well as this default is a keyword in Java. So if you take a block that is case block inside the switch, the syntax is case keyword followed by any label that you want. So label can be anything. Okay, we will see in the example. followed by column. Okay, so if the value of the expression matches with this label, these statements are executed. And don't forget to write a break at the end of the statements. Okay, so if you don't write break when these statements get executed, it will directly go and execute these statements as well. Okay, so like this block, you can have any number of blocks using the case keyword, and when all these labels does not match, you can have a default block which you specify using the keyword default. Okay, and for the default block, even if you miss this break, it doesn't do anything. Okay, nothing bad happens. You can leave this break also because it is at the end of the all the blocks. Okay, right. Now coming to the looping statements, the first looping statement is while. So it begins with the keyword while followed by the condition based on which you want to repeat these statements. Okay, so as long as this condition is true, right, these statements will be executing again and again. Once this condition becomes false, the control will come from here to next line after while. Okay, so if you see here, the while loop is a entry control loop. Why it is called entry control loop means before the statements are executed, we are checking for the value of, I mean the truth value of this condition or expression. Okay, so on contrary to while loop, we have a do while loop where the statements are executed first and then we check for the condition. This is called exit control loop. Okay, so the unique thing about do while loop is the statements inside do while loop are bound to get executed at least once. Okay, and this is the syntax: the keyword do followed by the set of statements within the braces, and after the end brace we will write while condition. Okay, and another loop in Java is for loop. So whoever is familiar with C and C++, they already know this. So the for loop has three expressions here. Okay, so first comes the keyword for, and within the parenthesis you have initialization, where you initialize the counter variable, okay, or loop counter variable, and then you check for a condition for truthness, and then when this condition is true, it will come from here to here and execute these statements. So after executing all these statements, it goes to the updation statement or iteration updation statement. Okay, so in the example it will be clear, right? And a variation of for loop called for each loop. So even though its name is for each loop, we don't find any each in the syntax. So why it is named for each loop means generally it is used to um, traverse or move from one element to another element in a given collection. Okay, so you can see the syntax is for within the parenthesis you will declare a variable. So data type variable name, you can say this is the counter variable or loop control variable. Okay, followed by colon followed by a collection. This collection can be any set of mm, collection can be anything. Okay, I mean which represents a group of values. For example, you can write the array name here. Okay, and each array value will come into this variable and you can access them here in the statements. Okay, it will be clear in the example, don't worry. Yeah, all these things will be coming. Okay, so let's stop here and see a demo of the control statements. We will come back to the arrays concept in the next video. Okay, so here is our basics class from the previous video. Let's import the scanner class again. Import java.util.scanner. Okay, so as I told you in the previous example, that is in the previous video, You have to create an object for scanner class if you want to use anything inside it. So scanner object name is input, the new keyword followed by class name again scanner, and within the parenthesis you will give the system dot in. So in is the standard input object which represents the keyboard. Okay. Now, so what is the program is? The program will read a value from the keyboard, and it will check whether that given number is even or not. Okay. So let me give the value here. So I am giving 10. So 10 is an even number, right? So how do you decide if it is even or not? So if you divide the number by 2 and the remainder is 0, you can say that number is even. So if I give 11, if I divide by 2, the remainder is 1, right? So it is not even. So let it make it back 10. Okay. So let's read the value. I am declaring a variable n to store the value. So how do you get the value? By using the object input dot the method is next int. Okay. Now the value, which is in this case 10, is stored in n. So now you have to check whether this n is even or not. So based on whether it is even or not, I mean if it is even, you will print a statement, otherwise leave it like that. So you are checking for a condition, right? If the number n divided by 2, sorry, exactly not divided by 2, it's a modulo operator reminder, n modulus 2 equal to 0. Okay, so whenever this condition is true, you can say that it is even number. System dot out dot println given number is even. Okay, so it's a simple program. So here we have demonstrated the selection statement if. So let's execute and see what happens. Yes, given number is even. Now let's give 11 here and execute the program. Now we didn't get any output. Yes, why? Because we didn't write anything when the number is odd. So if you want to get some output when it is odd, you have to write else. So let me copy paste this. Given number is odd. Now let's execute and see. Yes, now it has printed given number is odd. Okay, so in this program we have demonstrated if else. So it's a two-way selection statement. So this is one block and this is another block, two-way, either this or this. Okay, fine. Now in the next program I am going to demonstrate switch statement. So let's remove this code. So what does the program do is the program will read a character, and if the character is vowel, it will print it is vowel, otherwise it is a consonant. Okay, so how many vowels are there in English? 5. What are those characters? A, E, I, O, U. Okay, now so what should we do here? We should read the character first, right? So let's say I am giving and, right? So you might be thinking why sir is giving and instead of a, right? You can give a, but let me say the user has typed and here. So what should the program do? The program should read the string. So this is a string, right? 3 characters. Within the string, it has to take the first character and ignore these things. Uh, we don't need to care about n and d. We have to take only a. So how to do this? So until now I have shown you how to read numbers only, integers. So how to read characters now? Mm, so let's try to do something. So we are reading a character. That's why I am creating a character variable char ch. So you might be thinking you can write like this, input dot next char, like this. But this is wrong. Why? Because this method is not there. In scanner class, this method is not there. So actually what you need to do is you have to write the method next. Okay, so I will write here, next method reads a string from keyboard. Okay, so what do we need? We don't need this string, but next method reads this entire thing, all the three characters, and but we need only one character. So what we will do is, it's a kind of hack, code hack. So at the end of the parenthesis you will write dot. Okay, another method, caret. Okay, a is capital, that's all. Within the parenthesis you will write 0. Okay, so what is this means? Within these three letters, grab the first character. So how are we saying first character? By giving 0. So it's a index number, mind you, it's an index number. Don't think the first character is available at location 1. You have to give 0. So who have already studied C and C++, they know that the index value always begins at 0. So at 0 there is a, at location 1 there is n, at index 2 there is d. Okay, now we have successfully captured the first character and stored it in ch. So let me write this. So uh, caret, sorry, caret method fetches the character at a given index. So here the index we have given is 0, that is the first character. Okay, and also remember one more thing, caret method uh, belongs to string class. T is small, string class. So there is a predefined class in Java called string. Okay, so actually when you write input dot next, you will get a string object. Okay, you will get a string object. On that string object we are actually calling this method, right? Fine. Now we will use switch within the parenthesis the expression. So the expression here is the character variable ch. Okay, now if you remember the syntax, we will write case statements. So case, the character a, if it is a, I mean if this ch value is a, you have to print system dot out dot println is a vowel. Okay, and don't forget to write break. That's all. So this is one case statement. Like that you have to write 4 more for e, I, o, u. Okay, so let's do that. Simply copy. Okay, a, e, I, o, u, and simply change this to e, this to I, this to o, this to u. Okay, sorry, here vowel. Okay, right, right. Now if the character does not match with a, e, I, o, u, you have to print it is a consonant, right? So for that we will write default and write this. mm, let's write is not a vowel. You can write it is a consonant, but I am writing is not a vowel. Okay, that's all. This is the program. So you have read a character and you have checked whether it is a, e, I, o, u, and you are printing the corresponding message. Okay, Now I have given the input. Let's execute this. Yes, we got it. Is a vowel. Now let's change this and let's give it as end. So it will take E. Okay, so execute. Yes, it is also a vowel because E is also a vowel. Now let me change the string to send. Now the character will be yes. So let's execute. Yes, is not a vowel. That means it has executed the statement. So how will the execution be done? It will check A, it will check E, I, O, U, and then finally, since it didn't match any all these cases, it will go for this. Okay, so that's all. This is about switch statement. Now there is one more thing called else if ladder in selection statement. So I am giving that as you. I am giving that for you as a homework. So you try to do that. Convert this program using else if ladder. Okay, just convert this switch into else if ladder and try to do it. It will be easy. Okay, right. Now let's remove this. We don't need this, and maybe I also don't require this. Okay. Mm, Maybe I require this. Okay. Now let's see how to use for loop. Okay. So for the for loop, for demonstrating for loop, let me take mm, which program. Let's read a number and print the multiplication table of that number. Okay. So let's take the number. So you already know how to read a number. We have seen multiple programs. Int n equal to input dot next int. Okay. Now let's write the for loop. For here comes the initialization. Int I equal to 1. So we are taking the loop control variable I and initializing it to 1. Until this I value is or equal to less than or equal to 10, okay, we will execute statements. Okay. So how many times this loop will execute? It will execute 10 times from 1 to 10. Okay. Now let's print the multiplication table by writing system dot out dot print. See, until now I am using println statement, right? So what is the significance of println statement is automatically after printing it will go to the next line. So in the println, ln means new line. Okay, ln means new line. So automatically after printing it will go to new line. So let's write print here. So there is a one more method called print. So after printing whatever we write here, it will not go to next line automatically. You have to do something. Let's do that. Let's see what to do. Okay. So mm, let me give. So to print the multiplication table, let's say you want to print like this. For example, let's say the number is 3. 3 into 1 equal to 3. Okay. 3 into 2 equal to 6. You want to print like this. So how to do that here in the print statement? So the value 3 will be available in n number, right? So print n plus, now you have to print this symbol star. Okay. Now space star space plus, now the value. So where does this 1 2 3 4 5 so on up to 10 comes from? It is the value of the variable I. Okay, right, I plus, now you have to print this equal to. So double quotes space equal to space plus, now this value, what is this value? This is 3 into 1. So you can simply write parenthesis and give 3 into I. Okay, semicolon, right? I hope you understood why I have written like this. Now let's execute and see. Before executing, give some value. So let's give the value 3. Execute. Yeah, now you can see the output, right? It is not what we expected. So what is happening? 3 into 1 equal to 3. Now this has to shift to the next line. So it didn't shift. Why? Because we have written print. So if you have written println and execute, it will print like this, which we want. Okay. So if you want to use print, so you can do this and again write like this within the double quotes escape character backslash n semicolon. Now if you execute it, you will get the same output. Yes, same. Now if let me tell you another way. If you write println and you remove this backslash n, now also you will get the same output. Yes, same output, right? Okay. So there are multiple ways of doing the same thing. Just follow whatever you want. Now let's give the value 5 and let's execute. Yes, we got the table for multiplication table for 5. Oh, sorry, I did a little mistake here. It is not 3 into I, it is actually n into I. N into I. Okay. So that's a mistake I have done. Now let's execute. Yeah, now it's correct. 5 into 1, 5, 5 into 2, 10, so on. 5 into 10, 50. Okay, right. So that is about control statements, the selection statements, looping statements, and finally mm, jump statements. Although I didn't use jump statements, we can use them. Let me show you quickly how to use jump statements. So let's say after mm, after doing the 3 into 5 equal to 15, you want to stop. Okay. So how to do that means, if I value becomes 5, okay, or I greater than 5, you can say break. So what is the meaning of this? This loop will continue up to 5 times, and whenever the I becomes 5, it will just break. See what happens. Mm, so actually, let me write it here. So let's execute. Yeah. So it has printed up to 5 and it has stopped, right? Why? Because it has matched with this condition, it became true and it has come out of the loop. So what happens when we execute this break statement is, it will come from here to this next line here. So whatever statements you write here, they will be executed, and these two statements will be skipped. They will not execute. Okay. Now what is the use of continue is, for example, if you want to skip a particular sequence. For example, you don't want to print this 5 into 5 equal to 25, but you want the remaining things. You can write if I equal to 5, continue. Now see what happens. Yes, after 5 into 4, it has gone to 5 into 6. So you notice the effect of continue. So whenever I becomes 5, it will skip these two lines. Okay, but like break, it will not come out of the loop. It will go here, it will increment I, again it will execute all the statements. Okay, so that is the difference between break and continue. hope it is clear now. Right. So that's it for this video. In the next video, we are going to look at arrays. Thank you.